Hi friends! So I wanted to share with you a few online Google tools that you can use during your virtual sessions. So I was actually looking for an online metronome to use with one of my students, and I typed in metronome in the Google search box, and up popped a metronome. To start the metronome, you click play, and you'll see the circle pulsing, which provides a nice visual cue. And then to make the metronome slower, you click the minus button. And to make it faster, you click the plus button. So I just recently used this with our emoji challenge activity where my students had to replicate hand emojis to the beat of the metronome. And down here, if you click this little arrow, it will drop down a bunch of other tools. I'll just go through a few of them. Flip a coin. This is literally a virtual coin. You can use this during your group sessions to work on turn taking if your students are playing a game. And if you click this arrow, we'll go to meditate next. This is a 1-minute visual breathing exercise. If you click play, it'll walk you through that whole exercise. So what I really like about this is that it shows the expanding and decreasing circle on the screen so that your students can follow along so that they're not breathing too fast. And we'll click the drop down arrow again, and we'll go to spinner next. So I was actually using a spinner in Smart Notebook before I discovered it here on Google. Up here in the left, you can click the amount of numbers that you want on the spinner. I've used this with gross motor exercises. So each number corresponds to a different gross motor task. So let's say number 1 is 10 push-ups, number 2 is five jumping jacks, something like that. And the student spins, and they land on a number, and then whatever number that is that corresponds to a gross motor task, they have to complete that gross motor task. And then up here in the right, you'll see a toggle tool where it says number or fidget. If you toggle that over, there is literally a virtual fidget. So this is great for your visual learners to use as relaxation technique or brain break. And you click spin to spin it around. The more times you click spin, the faster it will go until it eventually vibrates. And to stop the spinner, you click right on the spinner. And we'll click the arrow again. And here are some online dice. The numbers down here correspond to the number of sides that the die has. You can have as many dice as you want up here. And to make them go away, you click them and they disappear. So I've used this for handwriting tasks and online games. For one in particular, we're working on handwriting with the game Would You Rather. So the student would click to roll the die, and then each number would correspond to a specific would you rather scenario that they had to write down. And I've also pulled up game boards on the screen, like a game board layout, and put either numbers or letters, depending on what the student is working on, within the game board spaces. And the student would roll the die, and they would move that amount of spaces. And then whatever space they land on, they had to either write the letter or number or word in order to stay on that space. And we'll click down here again. I think we went through the tools, and then we'll go to games next. So there's a bunch of different games. I'm just going to go over the two that I use the most. So Tic Tac Toe, believe it or not, is a fan favorite with a lot of my students. Up here in the left, the first 3 options are versing the computer. And then the last option says play against a friend. So that's the option that you'd want to click so that you could play with your student. And it's Tic Tac Toe. So I've integrated this with different activities and challenges So sometimes I'll use this with a handwriting challenge, let's say, where if my student wins, they have to give me a challenge, and if I win, I have to give them a challenge. So it makes it a little bit more interactive. And then last but not least, the snake game. I was actually looking for this game for the longest time. I don't know why. I can't find it anywhere. I used to play this game all the time when I was younger. And if you're not familiar with it, I'll show you how we do it. So you click play, and I'm just going to turn off the sound so it doesn't override my voice. And then you use the arrow keys to control the snake. And the snake has to eat the apples. And each time it eats the apples, it grows longer and longer. And it can't run into its own tail or the walls, or else it's game over. And I've actually used this game for visual tracking, visual attention, visual scanning, all sorts of visual skills where I'll actually control the snake and have my students track the snake with their eyes. And then I'll have them play the game themselves to work on all of those skills. And you can change the colors here and have all sorts of different items. Alrighty, so I hope you can use some of these tools and games during your virtual sessions. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out by commenting or sending me a personal message. All right, thank you.